Welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder, and today's episode is brought to you by Simple Wishes. The Simple Wishes Stages bra is truly revolutionary as it transforms from an everyday wire-free regular bra to a nursing bra and then back again. And we'll hear more from our sponsor later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page. If you ever need anything, see if you can give them any of your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, scroll down, enter your email address, and we will send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we're still on Patreon, and we still would like to see you over there hanging out and getting to know us and just providing a place that is supportive and where you can share your experiences and ask for advice and vent and enjoy some of our original content. Check the top link under this episode in the show notes, wherever you're listening from. And we're still hosting our ongoing giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet. You can also share to your friends. However you're getting the word out about our podcast, send a screenshot and we will send you a goodie bag. You can send your screenshot along with your address to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll send you a goodie bag with thank you for nursing in public cards and podcast stickers and fun things like that. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
Yes, it's a very special one. It came to us through email, and it is from a dad who wanted to talk about his wife, which I think is really sweet. I just want to take a moment to appreciate my wife. She has exclusively breastfed all three of our boys, tandem nursing for 18 months and nursing each of them for over 2 years. She's pushed through mastitis more times than I can count, dealt with oversupply that ruined shirts every time we went out, and woken up night after night to feed on demand for nearly 5 years straight. On our way to the vacation home, I found this podcast for her to listen to, and she hasn't stopped since. We began dating when we were 12 years old and are now 26.
My God.
I know, isn't that cute?
That is so cute.
Now 26 with 3 kids, and I am so proud of the mother she is. It's been amazing to watch how breastfeeding, even in public, at church, during dinner, anywhere, has given her a new confidence. I couldn't be more proud of her, both as a mother and as the one who nourishes our family in the most selfless way. Thank you guys for the activism, empowering other moms to do what's best for their babies, regardless of location or setting. Feed on. I thought that was really, really
That's
nice.
really cool.
Yeah. And
you love the family support and the partner support.
It makes a huge difference, you know, and you think that nobody notices what you're doing, and people do notice. They notice that you are like selflessly giving to your children, and it does get noticed and appreciated. So yeah, that's amazing. And I love that he wrote into us and picked up on the fact that she's had mastitis, that she's waking up during the night to feed these babies.
Yeah.
She's doing all the things. And he sounds like he's not embarrassed of her breastfeeding in public. Because sometimes you hear that. My husband is embarrassed, you know, doesn't want me breastfeeding in public because it's embarrassing. But you're not trying to embarrass anybody. You're trying to nourish your child. So it's totally okay.
That annoys me. It's like you're embarrassed because of like something that somebody else is doing. Oh, by the way, that somebody else is your wife and child, but
yeah, it's kind of weird. So,
yeah.
So thank you for writing in and bragging about your wife. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And for having her listen to us. I think that's amazing. That's the other thing. Like, he's the one who found the podcast.
He's the one who found it.
So that is fantastic that you get in the car and you're like, here, I found something for you to listen to.
That's like, cool.
Yeah. And she's a boy mom.
We're big fans of your husband.
Yeah, that's awesome. So congrats to you. You guys are making everything look easy. So that's fantastic. So today we're going to talk about marijuana. And we did an episode on this a while back, but wanted to touch on it again just so that we have some fresh info out there for you. Not that there's a whole lot of info
I was
out
going to
there
say,
to be
is there fresh
had.
info?
I mean, I watched a webinar and about it, and there really, like, one of the things that she kept saying was that there really wasn't a lot of really great info. Like, there's more info coming out now because it is becoming more legalized in the United States. But I don't know what people do around the rest of the world. So you could always email us and let us know, like, what it looks like in your neck of the woods, because I know in some parts of the world it's very accepted, in some parts of the world it is not. So,
well, like, even I used to live in Holland, and it was very accepted in Amsterdam. And when you went outside of Amsterdam to some places out, other towns, whatever, outside, and it was very not accepted.
Yeah.
So it can vary greatly.
Yeah, it definitely does. But when we're talking about how it can impact babies, we don't have a ton of research on that because we just don't yet. But there is going to be, like, more. They have more information. What they do have information on is how it impacts milk. So that, because they can test your milk, they can say, okay, you're smoking marijuana, give us some of your milk, and people will donate their milk to have that tested. So that is something that we do have information on, which is kind of cool. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about too was CBD, because people ask us about that all the time. Well, what about CBD? Can I do CBD, or is it different with gummies? Is it different with this or that? Whatever. If I'm not smoking it, can I just take gummies? Can I have it in my food? Does that make a difference? And I never really knew a lot of those answers, but now I've got more information on that stuff. So that is really helpful. So as far as THC goes, like, THC is the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. So that is what makes you high.
Gets you high.
Yeah, that is what makes you high. And it affects your brain. It gets you high by affecting your brain and your nervous system. So that is what THC does. And I know a lot of people use it for different reasons. Sometimes it's just like, I'm just using this recreationally. And sometimes it's because it helps them with, like, depression or anxiety or stress. Some people kind of self-medicate with it. If you're pregnant, some people use it. Like, I used to work in a pregnancy program, and I had a lot of girls that smoked because they were really nauseous, and it helped them. It just really depends on what is going on with you. Some people use it because they feel like it's natural, because it's a plant, but there's a lot of natural things out there that aren't necessarily good for you. So one thing that I thought was kind of interesting that they were talking about on the webinar was that prior to the 1990s, now this is going back probably before half of you were born. So prior to the 1990s, THC potency was less than 2%. What does that mean? That means that back in the 70s, when people talk about, the 70s, the drug era days, everybody was smoking marijuana. You got Woodstock, all that stuff. The potency was very, very low. So they weren't getting this. It wasn't like they were getting this really strong high. The potency was very low. Now the potency is 17 to 28%. So drugs are really, really more potent now than they used to be.
Yeah, they really figured out how to grow it.
And how to take what they really wanted to take out of it. So it is definitely a stronger, and now that it's becoming more legalized, it is being grown in different ways too, which is causing it to be more potent. So that is something that you really need to consider when you're considering your baby in the mix of things as well, is how potent this drug is, or how potent it could be that what you're getting. So the THC is actually loves to stick to the fat in your milk. So it sticks to fat. It sticks to fat cells. That is regardless if it is ingested or if it is inhaled. So it doesn't matter if you're like eating gummies or if you're inhaling it, smoking it. It doesn't matter. The THC is going to get it's going to stick to the fat cells of your milk. And that means that it's going to stay in your milk for up to 6 weeks or more. So and that's going to depend on how much you smoke. Obviously, if you smoke less or if you're ingesting less, then it's going to be less. If you're somebody who's like an everyday person, everyday smoker or an everyday ingester, say I need this every night to help me go to sleep, then it's going to last longer in your milk. It's going to be there for a longer period of time. It'll also stay positive in urine for 2 to 3 weeks. So
anyone who smokes knows that. Yeah, you have to time your, drug testing at work and stuff around your
habit.
Right. Yes.
When I was in the Army, oh my God, we had this one guy that sometimes people will do whatever they can do to get out, right? Like they join and they realize this is not for me. And it's not something you can just say, okay, I quit. You're stuck there. But if you smoked marijuana, and I don't know if they still do this, but if you had came positive on any kind of drug test, they would kick you out. Mm-hmm. So we had this guy in our unit who wanted out, and he would smoke, and they caught him, obviously, because they do random drug testing. Mm-hmm. So then they would randomly drug test all of us all the time, because then they got it in their heads that our unit was like this druggy unit or something like that. But they would test us by like our social security number, and mine was close to his. So I got tested constantly. Oh. And I'm like, this is just annoying.
What?
And the test,
it doesn't even make any sense.
I know.
Your social security number was close to his, so you got drug tested too?
Yeah, because they would just test us all, like they would just test us based on whatever they wanted to base it on. I don't know.
Oh my God. That is so weird.
It was so weird. But they would have to, so then there would be, and there wasn't too many females in our unit, and their urine tests, like they would have to watch us pee. Mm-hmm. Like they had to watch us pee in a cup, and we had to give it to them. So then I would have this like female sergeant come in the bathroom with me so that I would pee in a cup, which is the most awkward thing in the world, to be peeing in front of people. Mm-hmm. But I was like, this is freaking ridiculous, because this one kid, just let him out.
Yeah, God, let him out. Why would you want people there that don't want to be there?
I know.
All the places.
I know.
Anyway.
So that's the only reason. And I didn't have any, like, I wasn't a big smoker. I smoked a little bit here and there, but wasn't like a big smoker, and never really liked it. I was never one of those people who were like, oh my God, this is the best high. I just didn't really like it. So I didn't have any kind of information about like how long your urine stayed positive for or any of that stuff. But I do know that it can last in your milk for a long time. So that is something that you need to be conscious of, that it's not like, oh, I'll just pump and dump and it'll go away. No, it sticks to the fat in your milk. It's going to be in your milk for a long time.
So here's my question then. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of things pass to milk.
Right.
A lot of things. Like all the things that we talk about. It's okay to take that. It's okay to take that. It's okay to take that. And then, so it sticks to your milk. It stays in your milk. Mm-hmm. What we don't know then is what's the effect on the baby.
Right. Right.
Because
so yeah.
Does it matter? I mean, it passes to your milk just like everything else.
Right.
But is that, so that's just my thing is.
So the things that you want to watch for your baby, because they did talk about this, was obviously you want to avoid exposing smoke to your baby. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you're not like smoking around your baby. you want to watch for those growth milestones because it can impact babies reaching their milestones. So you want to watch and make sure that your baby is reaching their milestones. So that is important.
So there is research that says that marijuana passing through breast milk can affect babies reaching their milestones.
Yeah. And it can make babies sleepy. It makes you sleepy. So it can make babies sleepy. So we want to make sure that they are eating the way they're supposed to be eating. Are they getting enough milk? Are they eating well? So that is really important too. We just want to, and of course, all of this depends on how much you smoke or how much you're ingesting. If you're just somebody that is like once in a while, this is not going to be an issue for you. But if you're somebody who is a daily user, then you want to make sure that it's not impacting your baby. You want to make sure your baby's reaching their milestones. You want to make sure they're still eating the way they should be eating. They're still having a good amount of wet and dirty diapers. They're not, just sleeping too much or too long or too often or not getting the meals that they need to be getting. You want to obviously do all the things that keep you safe. You want to avoid driving and you don't want to sleep with your baby. That is another really big thing. And we've talked about that on the episodes when we talk about safe sleep. You can't be under the influence of anything and have your baby sleeping with you because that is just unsafe. Now, we should probably take a break and then we'll talk about CBD.
Yeah. All right. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Simple Wishes. Simple Wishes is a small business in California owned by a woman and badass breastfeeder. Dianne and I were lucky enough to have a chance to preview their bra and tank from this new seamless collection. And it is truly revolutionary, from the quality to the fabric used to the fact that it transforms from an everyday wire-free bra to a nursing bra and then back to an everyday wire-free regular bra that will last you through your entire breastfeeding journey and beyond. It's truly a unique design that's genuinely better for your wallet and the planet. My dresser is a graveyard of abandoned nursing bras. The shelf bras from Target, those tank tops with the shelf bras, I lived in those. And every raggedy, stretched out, frayed edges that would develop after just a short period of time. And they're also not very comfortable and not supportive at all. And they don't last. And that's why I'm so impressed with this patent-protected design. It's one bra that transitions with you through every stage. Simple Wishes has invested almost 2 years in developing this bra to bring it to you. And the new tariffs they need to pay have thrown them for a loop, to say the least. But the bra is here. They fought through a lot. And Joy, the owner, along with her sister, remain committed to offering high-quality garments at an affordable price. You can head to simplewishes.com. That's simplewishes.com. And you can use code BADASS for 50% off of your order of anything there, because they make really cool clothes too. And then nursing bras and tanks and everything. Go to simplewishes.com. You'll find something you love and get it for 50% off with code BADASS. And you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com to check out our sponsor page. You can also find over there our resources, all of our episodes, and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
Now, one of the other things that they said was that possibly higher rates of ADHD in infants as they get older, as they grow. So your infant that was exposed to THC from the milk could have a possible higher rate of ADHD. But again, they said that was just possible. It's not like for sure that they know that. They have to do more research on that, but that was a possible thing to be watching for. Now, CBD, people ask about, well, what about CBD? It's not the same as THC. It's not as psychoactive like THC is. However, it does pass into milk at similar rates to the blood levels, but it's less concerning than THC. Less passage into your milk, but it can be contaminated with THC because it depends on how they separate it out. So it still can have THC in it. So if you're somebody who's like, no, I'm not doing any kind of THC, I only do CBD oil, or, CBD gummies or whatever, there could absolutely be THC in there. So you really need to be cautious about that, especially if it's a situation where you could get in trouble for work, or, like if they test you at work, you want to be cautious about stuff like that. Yeah. But it's still, there's a variety of strengths. Some have, the other thing you want to be cautious about with stuff like this too. This is a plant. And we've talked about like, oh, it's more natural because it's a plant. Like a lot of people think about that, but you have to also be considerate of weed killer, fertilizer, stuff like that gets onto this plant and how that impacts you and your baby. So that is also something that people need to think about as well. So what does this mean for breastfeeding? Like, should you not breastfeed? Should you still breastfeed? Like, how does that play out? So things like the American Academy of Pediatrics say you don't breastfeed if you're smoking marijuana. However, we really need to consider what the options are. Do we want you to not breastfeed and give your baby formula and then smoke a little bit? What we want is for you to have the information so that you can make an informed decision. And the Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine, they say something totally different than the AAP does. And that is to just have the education behind it so that you can make an informed decision. So you have to think about the negatives and the positives, right? Like, we know that there are some negatives to formula feeding as far as like health benefits and things like that. Babies are going to get better health benefits from breast milk. We know that to be true. Just because you're smoking a little bit or you ingest some CBD does not mean your baby's going to get less health benefits. So you really need to be considerate of like what is going to work best for you, how much you're smoking. If like I've had people that contacted me and they said, well, the baby sleeps all night. What if I have a little bit at night? I'm not breastfeeding. I'm not, smoking around the baby. I'm not doing any of those things. Is that okay? And it's only every once in a while. If you feel comfortable doing that, that's totally fine. I would rather people give their baby breast milk.
I was going to say, I would absolutely hate to see a family decide to use formula because they smoke pot.
I know. That
would be, I'm not a lactation consultant. I can say whatever I want. I want to see people using a harm reduction framework to this. You're going to do what you're going to do. We know we can't tell people what to do. And if you're going to smoke pot, you're going to smoke pot. So here's the thing. Don't smoke around the baby. Don't smoke so much that you cannot handle an emergency that comes up. Mm-hmm. When you have a baby, you have to be prepared to drive to the emergency room, to, perform CPR or the Heimlich maneuver or whatever. Like, you have to be able to deal with emergencies, and you can't smoke so much that you can't deal with the emergency. Like the milk stuff, to me, like it passes through the milk and it does this, da, da, da. I mean, we don't know. And I mean, if that concerns you, then that's very valid. But we don't know. We don't have that information right now. We don't have, long-term studies about like this, how it affects people in the long run when their mom breastfed them while smoking marijuana. We don't have that. So this is the same thing with alcohol. When we talk about alcohol, you need to be able to deal with emergencies. Don't sleep with your baby. And, you need to be awake and alert enough to deal with these things, with anything, with your baby. So that's me. And, and with cigarettes, don't smoke around the baby, because we do know very much about, secondhand smoke and how harmful that is. Just try to reduce the harm.
Right. And that doesn't mean you go outside and leave your baby inside by themselves.
Right. Yeah. Right.
We've had that, like that's happened before too, here where I live. And then something terrible happens to the baby because they're being neglected. So that is, you have to just be smart about it. Now, here in the American Academy, not the American Academy of Pediatrics, in the protocol for ABM, which is Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine, says here that peak cannabis concentrations in human milk usually occur within 1 hour post-ingestion and dissipates over time with a half-life of 17 hours and up to 6 weeks for clearance. So what that means is that if you can, like how I said that one parent would smoke and then didn't have to wake up for the baby all night, that is giving it time to get a little bit more worked out of your milk. But it does stay in the milk for up to 6 weeks because it's fat soluble, so it stays in the fat.
Right.
So that can be, they just keep saying over and over again, there is little information about what you can expect as far as long-term effects. So what it says here is limited data exists describing the acute or long-term effects related to infant cannabis exposure through breast milk. A 2020 systematic review found only 2 observational studies on infant outcomes, each reporting conflicting results on infant motor development at 12 months. Both studies were unable to control for prenatal cannabis exposure, thus further limiting data on cannabis exposure by breast milk alone. So watching for those milestones is important and making sure that your baby is reaching those milestones. And again, that depends if you're an everyday user or if you are somebody who just uses occasionally. But again, like Abby said, I would hate to have a family totally abandon breastfeeding and breast milk for their infant because they smoke a little bit of pot.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want you to be smart about it and make sure that your baby is getting what they need. But it has become, like I was saying, I thought it was very interesting about it becoming more potent over the years. So where people think it's a very harmless drug, it is becoming a little bit more than just a harmless drug, I think, at this point. Because it is becoming more potent. Like Abby said, they learned how to grow it.
Yeah. There's a whole lot that goes into growing it now. They can make it really as potent as they want.
Yeah. And they can mix it with other things too, which is the other thing that can be a little bit unsafe. You have to, you can't go into a dispensary and expect that they're going to know how this is going to affect your breast milk.
No,
so
they're not going to know.
They're not going to know.
It's not their job to know. It's not. No, they don't need to be. This is one of those things that you can, there's a lot of things that you can ask us about and we can be like, yes, do that. No, don't do that. And we're just not going to do that with this. This is information, and we're not going to tell you what to do. And you get to, because you're a grown-up, you get to make your decision about what you're going to do. And we gave you information about everything that we can, everything that's out there, and ways to reduce harm. And now it's up to you to decide what you're going to do.
Right. But yeah, it goes right along with, any other kind of smoking. And a lot of times people think that if they smoke cigarettes, they can't breastfeed. And that is not true at all. You can absolutely breastfeed and smoke cigarettes. Just don't smoke around your baby.
Yeah.
But you can absolutely smoke. And your baby will probably get better benefits from breast milk. They're going to get, breast milk is protective. So whereas things like being exposed to smoke, being exposed to secondhand smoke for your infant is going to cause them respiratory problems and asthma and ear infections and things like that. But breast milk will help give them some kind of protective factor. So you want to definitely make sure that your baby is getting that protective factor if you do smoke. Things like smoking like a lot, the nicotine can stick to your fat too. So when you're, if you smoke a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean like 20 cigarettes a day. If you're smoking like a pack a day.
Smoking is another one of those things where you don't sleep with your baby.
Exactly. And you might not realize that because smoking regular cigarettes doesn't make you high.
Right. But still affects your ability to wake up.
Yeah.
And that's just science.
Yeah. And it exposes them to that. It just exposes them to that smoke, because no matter how many times you change your clothes, like because sometimes people say, well, I wear a different coat when I go outside, I wear a different coat. I don't have it. It's still in your clothes. It's still in your hair. It's just all over you. So you just can't really escape it necessarily. Mm-hmm. But it can limit your breast milk supply if you smoke a lot too. So you have to be cautious about stuff like that. If you can't quit, cut down. Because cutting down is always better. And that goes with marijuana too. If you can't quit completely, cut down if you can. That is just going to make it a little bit safer. And it's going to be healthier for you. But you want to definitely just be cautious of your decision making. And like we said, don't sleep with your baby. And don't smoke around your baby. And we want you to just have the information to make an informed decision. That's all.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.